This is Cruise Radio.
I cruise a lot, and I always sail with travel insurance. You should too. Get a free quote today at tripinsurance.com.
Here we go.
Broadcasting from the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Cruise Radio.
DJ and his family just returned from a 5-night Bermuda cruise on Royal Caribbean's Liberty of the Seas out of Bayonne, New Jersey. He joins us on the line. How you doing, my friend?
Excellent, Doug. This is crazy to be chatting with you in real life. You and Richard do just such a great service to the cruising community. The content that you guys put out, it shortens the time between now and my next cruise. And I just wanted to say thank you for all the work that you guys do. It's greatly appreciated.
Oh, it's very kind of you to say, man. I really appreciate it. Before we jump to Liberty of the Seas, we'll take a step back here. Give me some pre-cruise thoughts. What made you want to take this 5-nighter on Liberty, and where exactly are you located?
Yeah, so we're in the upstate New York area, kind of think that Rochester, Buffalo area. And I've got 2 kids. We all love cruising, but one of the challenges for us is that if we want to go out of Miami or Fort Lauderdale, you're easily hitting, $1,000 in flights, another $500 in hotel and incidentals. So we really like going out of Bayonne because it's drivable to us about 5 hours. This sailing, however, was a casino comp cruise, which I got to tell you, Royal really does such a nice job with their Club Royale program. My wife and I had actually sailed on a free comped cruise with them a couple months prior. And we had gambled enough that they had offered us this one to go out of New Jersey. And for a small sum of money, we were able to upgrade our room and bring the kids. So it ended up being just a really inexpensive vacation for us. And the fact that we could drive made it absolutely the icing on the cake.
Nice. So you make your way from upstate New York down there to Cape Liberty, Bayonne, New Jersey. How was the embarkation, and how long did it take you from the curb to get onto the ship?
Yeah, great question. And I know that you always ask this. So one of the things that I did is I took pictures of my iWatch through varying stages of progression of getting offloaded and onloaded onto the ship. So I'm really proud to say that they got us from the terminal to the gangway in 7 minutes, which is just absurdly fast. Yeah. The challenge that they have, though, in New Jersey right now is it's really quick to drop off your bags, but they're still working around this pay for parking via app. So when we got there, you drop your bags off really quick, and then you go wait in a queuing line to scan a QR code. And then once you scan it, they kind of put you into these 2 different lanes. So you're at the mercy of the people in front of you of how technically advanced they are when it comes to using cell phones. So unfortunately, it was about a 45-minute wait just to pay and then ultimately find our parking spot. So a small rub to start, but as soon as we entered those doors, it was 7 minutes before we were standing in line for our first drink.
7 minutes. That might be a record for this show. So you walk on this ship. It's been a minute since Liberty of the Seas has underwent a dry dock. In fact, Royal announced last month it's getting a amplification next year in 26. So what were your impressions as you stepped on board Liberty of the Seas this go around?
Yeah, I mean, this class of ship is I think slept on. As much as you've got the Oasis class that is just absolutely fantastic, and then Icon and Star out there, Liberty of the Seas really holds her own. Royal does such a great job maintaining the ships, making sure that they're clean, they're presentable, and that things are working. That the only area that you could tell that the ship was a little dated was with the carpet. I don't know what it is of the carpets on or near the stairs, but for whatever reason, I think it's just because of the amount of wear and tear that they hit. That was the only area that you were kind of like, this might be a slightly older ship. But the promenade was just beautiful. The crew was just absolutely fantastic. Everybody was just smiling and welcome. And it was just such a great experience entering into that ship. And you could feel the energy and the excitement. And it doesn't hurt that because it is an older ship, you're going to get a slightly better deal than some of those newer and larger ships. But just impeccable quality and presentation walking onto the ship for us.
You told us at the top this was a casino comp. So what kind of stateroom did they offer you? And then you said you upgraded. So what did you wind up going with? Yeah,
so it was for an interior for 2. When I called them up to add 2 people, we were originally thinking maybe we would do connecting rooms because it's nice to have the extra bathrooms, but the pricing wasn't just working for us. So there is a class of cabin on this ship called a ultra spacious promenade view stateroom. And that's the one we ended up booking. Think 300 square feet, which kind of silly sounding for anybody that's not familiar with cruising, but that's a pretty large space. And think kind of like a junior suite almost. The bathroom had not the dreaded shower curtain, but an actual tub with a shower in there. There were two bunk beds. So you had this little bunk room off to the side, a massive sitting area with these two huge bay windows, and then an immense walk-in closet. This was just such an amazing value of a stateroom. The only drawback was you are promenade view facing. So the 2 nights they had some loud parties that kept my wife and I up for a little bit, but thankfully the kids and their bunk room was close enough to the door that it didn't impact them. But just an amazing stateroom and a great value for the amount of space that we ended up getting. And it was only about $2,000 all said and done for us to upgrade from the free offer to then bringing the two on and getting that room.
What floor was this on?
We were on deck 7, midship. So location ended up working out for us. You were close enough to the stairs that you weren't hearing all the traffic outside. But being midship, it was very, very flat because we did hit a little bit of seas going over and then back to Bermuda.
Mm-hmm. With it being a little bit since its last refurbishment, how was the stateroom? Did it feel modernized?
Yeah, I mean, Doug, it definitely felt a little bit on the older side. We did have more than enough plugs, and I think it was just based on how large that stateroom was that we did not want for a plug or a traditional USB, no USB-Cs there. But we did have more than enough space for powering. And then there was way too much storage space for us. I think you can actually fit 8 people in that room because the couch pulls out. Mm-hmm. So with the 2 bunk beds, the couch pulling out, and then obviously the main bed that's in there, they had enough power outlets to serve the population that could have been in that room.
Very cool. So let's talk about the dining on board Liberty of the Seas, and we'll go to the buffet first, the Windjammer Marketplace. How was the food in there for this cruise, and did it ever feel too crowded?
No, Windjammer never disappoints, at least in our experience. We were able to get a seat either if we went there for breakfast, if we went there for lunch after spending time in the port. We didn't do dinner there, but we did cruise through a couple times to get the oatmeal Ranger cookies, which are a heavy favorite in our family. But the food was top notch. There were only a couple people that looked like they were licking their fingers after pulling the bacon off of the trays, which unfortunately is a somewhat common concern that you might have. But the food was excellent, and it did not feel packed at any point in time. So you wonder if it's just people kind of venturing off into some of the other eateries, or if they were just interested in doing main dining room for the breakfasts or the lunch to take a little bit of the pressure off of Windjammer.
Okay, and for the main dining room, what time dining did your family have, and how was your experience in there throughout the week?
Yeah, Doug, so we booked this one a little bit close in on the sailing, so all that was left for us was my time dining, which allows you to get a specific timing for when you're going to be eating. The challenge is, though, you might have rotating wait staff, which for us and the kids, it makes such a difference when they know that you're going to be coming to have the high chair there, to have the cut fruit for the kids to start out. So we like having a traditional dining. So when we entered the ship after we had gotten our obligatory first drink and did our muster, I actually wandered over to the main dining room and politely said, hey, any chance that you can transition us over from my time dining to early seating? And about 5 minutes later, the gentleman said, yeah, no problem. This is going to be your new table. Ignore what's on your card. And if anybody gives you any problems, here's a piece of paper with this information, and you'll do main dining early seating. And that worked out perfectly. The waiter and the assistant waiter were fantastic. They got to know us. They got to know the kids. They knew what we liked, what we didn't like, which is that level of personalization and service that you really look at Royal as doing an excellent job with. The food was pretty good. Especially when you know that there's premium dining options out there, so you know what the level of food could potentially look like on a cruise ship. I'd say the food was good to very good. Service was impeccable. Nothing that was ever wrong with the food, but some nights it was just a little inconsistent. The escargot one night might be finished slightly different and a slightly different temperature than it is going to be the next night. But we didn't have a bad meal in any way, shape, or form in the main dining room.
You brought up a good point, too, about having the same dining team throughout your cruise, because if you're one of those families that, you want it to be efficient and have your drinks there when you arrive, them know what you want and bring it to you when you sit down, having the same dining team is the way to go, in my opinion. Whereas if you don't care about any of that and you just want to eat and get out, then the anytime dining is the way to go, too.
Completely agree. It's like if you see a new doctor every time you got to go, you got to understand each other a little bit more.
Yep.
This way you can cut right to it and get to what's important, which is the food and the drink.
And you mentioned premium dining. Did you do any premium on this cruise?
We did. We booked late and we weren't sure what we were going to ultimately do. But we ended up doing a dinner and a lunch in Giovanni's. Which Giovanni's is their Italian restaurant. They then have Chops, which is the steakhouse. And because I booked it on board, obviously I'm paying a delay fee in the price, ultimately going up more than what it would have been had I booked on land. It ended up being about $20 cheaper to go to Giovanni's opposed to Chops. So partially the decision was financially related, but we've always had good experiences with Giovanni's. And that's where the difference in main dining room to then the premium dining really, really shows its true colors. One, there's going to be a bigger space between you and your table mates in terms of how many people they're packing into the restaurant. Service was as good as it was in the main dining room, so really no difference there. But the food quality is just up 7 or 8 notches. Everything was piping hot. Everything was seasoned beautifully. And there was just such an abundance of fantastic food that both of us were stuffed. And side note, I had probably one of the best fillets that I've ever had, either on sea or on land, the first night that we ended up going to Giovanni's, which you wouldn't expect an Italian restaurant to knock a steak out of the park. But it was absolutely beautiful of an experience eating that steak.
How different is that experience between lunch and dinner since you did both of them?
Yeah, so lunch was a little bit more relaxed. We ended up doing it on the last day, so we were already heading back to New Jersey. There was a little bit of chop, and the temperature outside wasn't perfect for laying in the pool. So it ended up being like a nice thing to kind of look forward to, but really similar menu, if not identical. So we're eating a pretty heavy lunch because I got the steak again and it did not disappoint, and also loaded up on pasta. So if anything, it made our dinner a little bit lighter, but really, really similar experience eating in there twice. And I ended up getting, it was probably about half the price to do lunch than it was for dinner. And again, had it been booked online ahead of time, I probably would have saved some more money on it.
Did you hit up any casual dining, Sabor, Johnny Rockets, anything like that?
Doug, this is the last ship in the Royal Fleet that has Sabor. We actually chose Allure earlier in the year on the Casino Comp Cruise specifically because it had Sabor. I have no idea what happened. We did not make it to Sabor, so I'm kicking myself that the last standing Sabor I did not get a chance to eat at. But it was not very busy throughout the sailing. There weren't a lot of people going in there, so I think them switching from Sabor to basically the grab and go type free Mexican food, it makes sense as a concept. So unfortunately, we didn't make our way in there. We did a lunch at Johnny Rockets, which it was about $18 per person, which kind of rivaled the prices on land. It was a good burger, good experience. I don't know that I'd go back there, especially at that price point. We also did Sorrento's, which Sorrento's is the free pizza option. And it's not the best pizza you're going to ever eat, but it's the best pizza that you're going to get on a Royal Caribbean ship. It's hot, it's ready, it's all you can eat. You really can't complain about Sorrento's in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion.
Have they notched the prices up there over the years?
Doug, I feel like it has, because I had a little bit of a sticker shock going in there, just thinking that, dang, that seems a little expensive for Johnny Rockets at sea. I can't cite my sources on it, but it does feel like that's creeped up a bit.
I remember sailing Royal in 2019, and it was like $9.95. I think it was $12 with the gratuity, and then now it's like $10 more. So, how about the entertainment? How did that stack up for you and the family throughout your 5-day cruise?
So the ice show on Royal, I've never seen a bad ice show by Royal Caribbean. I've got a 3-year-old daughter and I've got a 9-year-old son, and both of them were just on the edge of their seats. They love the singing and the dancing. And obviously seeing the ice skaters perform these incredible tricks at a very, very small, packed in venue is just, it's great. And they were both inspired. My 3-year-old was pretending to be a figure skater the rest of the sailing. So it definitely struck a chord with her. We didn't end up going to their production show, which I believe is Saturday Night Fever. Hopefully I'm remembering that one correctly. There just wasn't a lot of interest from our family to go take a look at that, but we did meet a couple other cruisers that went and they sat through it and said it was fantastic. Music around the ship was something that we did basically every night, either Latin music in boleros. We also went over to the pub to listen to the pub singer. And then you've also got Schooner Bar that you're going to have some live piano music. So again, it's an older ship, but it punches well above its weight class in terms of packing in entertainment per square foot. You could not be bored on this ship unless you're sitting in your room and you're not doing anything. But if you're outside and you're venturing around, you're walking around, you're going to run into something of interest or something fun or a party going on.
What do your kids think about the kids club?
My oldest loved it. We were able to drop them off 3 of the sailings, and I don't know what they do in there throughout that time, but he didn't want to leave. So he had an amazing time. My 3-year-old was under 3 at the time, so she would have had to go to the nursery. 3 was that cutoff. Mm-hmm. So instead of putting her in there, we ended up keeping her with us. So she got to wander around the ship for a little bit, and then my wife and I would split off. One of us would continue on with the evening. The other would take the youngest back before then collecting the oldest from kids club. So we were able to have a little bit of flexibility that we got to enjoy some nightlife while maintaining the nap and the bed schedule that you have with a young family.
Well, along the lines of entertainment and that comp you're traveling on, how was the entertainment as far as the smoke situation in and around it?
Doug, it's kind of like akin to the early 90s when you could still smoke in restaurants. Do you want to go on the smoking side or the non-smoking side? And the only thing that's kind of dividing you is this half wall. It was a smoky casino. And the way that Liberty is there's the promenade that is over the casino, and there's some stairwells that will take you down right into the casino. So it was not uncommon to walk through the promenade, especially at night, and just kind of get punched in the face with cigarette smoke, which I like to gamble. We go to casinos every now and then, so you put up with it. We're not super sensitive to it, but you definitely come back to the room after 2 hours playing blackjack, and you kind of smell your shirt, and you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to hop in the shower real quick before I go to bed.
I hear you on that one. As far as the sea days with crowds and congestion, what did you think?
It handled it well. Sailing to Bermuda in May, it was a little bit more tempered or lower temp than we were thinking that it was going to be. So we had some 50s or 60s in terms of ambient temperatures as we were sailing over to Bermuda, along with some heavy winds. So we did kind of have to huddle together with some beach towels to sit outside on the first day as well as then the last day, just to kind of keep warm. But it didn't stop people from coming out and taking a look at loungers. And if you know anything about kids, they don't seem to have a barometer for temperature when they're in the water. And fun fact, Liberty has probably one of the best kids splash areas. They not only have a 2-foot deep wading pool that has a waterfall that splashes into the water, but they also have one of the first splashaway bays, which has water slides and a bunch of other water features. So even though it was pretty cold out, it didn't stop my kids or other kids from going out there. So the colder temperatures made it so that you could easily get a lounge chair, which kind of made the first and the last day a little bit easier. Not everybody got off in Bermuda, so it was a little bit more challenging to try to get a lounger, especially if you're coming out after 10 o'clock, because Bermuda, those 2 days ended up being a bit warmer. But if you're patient, you're going to find a lounge chair on that top pool deck.
And even though it was a little chilly, did anyone go on the flow rider?
So we didn't go on the flow rider. We actually didn't make our way to that back end of the ship at all, which I'm sad to say, because Liberty has a really interesting, and it's a one-off, it's a water tube slide that 2 people get on it, And basically you go up the side of a quarter pipe and then you come down the other side. I think they call it the Boomerang, and it's the only Royal ship, and I don't know that they have any plans to add more. So although plans of grandeur to go out there and do that, we ended up not pulling the trigger on it. So that and Sabor are kind of my two takeaways as mistakes of not executing when we were on the ship.
So you leave Cape Liberty, you head to Bermuda. You have, 2 full days there?
Yeah, we had 2 full days. So we got there in the morning on Saturday, and then we left later into the late afternoon, evening on Sunday. So you had more than enough time to get your fill of Bermuda with that 2-day stop.
What did your family do there?
Doug, so Horseshoe Bay, Pink Sand Beach was at the top of everybody's list. So the first day, that's what we did. Got off the ship. And one of the differences with Bermuda and other Caribbean ports is how relaxed it is when you get off the ship. There's not people kind of vying for your attention, pushing for jet skis or for funky Jeep rides. It was just very calm and relaxed, which was a nice change of pace. And we were spotted with all of our towels and stuff. And somebody just said, "Hey, you're going to Horseshoe Bay, right?" Like, "Yep." So $7 a head, they loaded us and probably about 50 of our new best friends into the minibus and took this beautiful scenic route through these windy, twisty turns to take us off to Horseshoe Bay. But just absolutely a fantastic ride over. If you're going to do it, try to get one of the window seats because you're going to be treated to some really, really impressive views. And after that ride over to Horseshoe Bay, they've got some nice facilities there of bathrooms and changing areas and showers that are free to use. And if you're interested, they do rent out chairs and umbrellas, $20 per chair, $20 per umbrella. We actually foregoed that. We walked past that line and just headed on into the beach. And because we've got some young children, as soon as you enter the Horseshoe Bay, if you go off to the right, there's this cove that is perfect for families. The water's probably about 2 to 4 feet deep at most. There's very little wake or chop in there. Just a really, really chill spot for you to kind of spend your day. If you are looking for refreshments and things like that, it's a short walk away. You're going to be paying, airport prices for your hamburgers, your waters, your beers, or stuff like that. But it just made for an incredibly relaxing day up at Horseshoe Bay.
So if you pass the loungers and umbrellas and everything and you just head down a little bit, no one's coming up to you and trying to sell you T-shirts and stuff. It's not like the Bahamas or anything. It's pretty relaxed and chill.
Nothing,
Awesome.
which was just such a departure for what we were familiar with. I mean, there was no hair braiding, there was no bracelets, there was no nothing, which was just incredibly, incredibly relaxing. And it was a very clean, well put together beach. You could tell that the people that live there take a lot of pride in that area, and it definitely shows with how put together that area is.
So that was your first day there. So did you do anything for the second day?
Yeah, and actually, Doug, back to the first day, I'm an avid runner. I love running anytime that we go to different ports. Like Cozumel is my favorite because you can then run 3.5 miles down to the tip of Cozumel and then back to the ship, and it's perfect. When we got back from Horseshoe Bay, I decided that it would be a really good idea for me to go for a run. And for whatever reason, I completely forgot that there are almost no sidewalks and there's tons of blind curves with no shoulder because you have to run on the road. So I made it about 2.5 miles out from the port area and decided that I had made a very, very poor decision after a pretty near miss from a minibus taking a corner pretty quickly. Whoa. So I gingerly made my way back towards the ship. I would just put, if anybody's thinking of walking to, there's a sea glass beach, probably about a 25-minute walk from the Royal Naval Dockyard, and think a small beach with sea glass that's been there for quite a while and some new glass. So people tend to like going there, and you're not supposed to, but I do believe that people pick up the sea glass to take home as souvenirs. Although it looks like you can walk there, just be prepared that for probably about 60% of that walk, you're going to be walking in a straight line with whoever else you're going with, knowing that there's going to be minibuses going back and forth, and you've got probably about 2 feet of tolerance between yourself and their side view mirror.
Yeah, that was a close one. Where the ship docks, is that a pirate ship still out there where you can jump off and have a drink there or what have you?
Yeah, so there's the pirate ship there, and then attached to it is probably 100 yards in either direction of inflatable obstacle course.
Oh, cool.
So you can jump the plank, and then for maybe, I don't know what the price was. We actually didn't see anybody on it in the 2 days, which is crazy. My kid was just, absolutely begging to go on it. But just imagine this huge inflatable obstacle course right in that same area. So good memory with the pirate ship that's over there.
Yeah, it's been a few years. How was your second day on the island?
So the second day we were going to go off to Hamilton, and after we got off the ship, all prepared with the ferry schedule, one of the guides that was there was like, "Hey, knock yourself out if you want to go, but it's Sunday, and most of Hamilton is going to be completely closed." So we ended up spending the time in the Royal Naval Dockyard, which there's a small clock tower mall that they're going to have some odds and ends, some different jewelry. There's the obligatory Diamonds International, if you're interested in Tanzanite or pre-owned Rolexes, and then they've got a pharmacy down there. So we just kind of bummed around the area. My kids were more interested that they have free-range chickens, so they didn't chase them, just respecting the local wildlife. But they just thought that it was absolutely crazy seeing chickens and little chicks kind of running around that area. So very, very quiet second day in Bermuda.
You board the ship, you head back to Cape Liberty in Jersey. On the way back, is that when the weather hit, or was it coming and going? It
was coming and going. So that it's going to be a rough day or a rough night when they start putting the seasickness bags out. Oh, yeah. So they put them down the first night when we were leaving New Jersey, and then they put them back as we were leaving Bermuda. Nobody in our party got sick, but you definitely felt it, and you definitely saw it when you went up to the pool decks, just seeing the water sloshing around. A little bit of chop, but nothing that a seasoned cruiser can't handle.
And you make your way back to New Jersey. How was the debark process for the family?
Doug, it was super simple. We ended up carrying our bags off ourselves, so no challenges there. So we were able to get off the ship, I think, right around 8 o'clock. And because we were some of the first people to park, it was a very short walk for us to get off to our car. And then 4.5 hours later, magically, we're back in upstate New York. So it was very smooth. So they really had everything well oiled in terms of embarkation and debark. It's just they got to work a little bit on making that parking a little bit easier for people to pay for if they're technically not inclined.
Any first-time tips to offer anyone sailing Liberty? I mean, your stateroom sounded awesome. Or any first-time tips for someone going to Bermuda?
Yeah, Doug. So I'd never seen this before. Liberty was offering happy hours on I think it was $6 margaritas. There were 2 hours every single night that you could get a $6 margarita, which I had never seen before. Just an awesome little thing to find, because we're Diamond with Royal, so we get 4 drinks per day. But if you're looking for that fifth one and the timing kind of works out, maybe you save one of your Diamond drinks and you spend your $6 for a relatively inexpensive margarita. So that was pretty cool. And again, people are looking for the newest and the most exciting and the flashiest, but Liberty is a well-maintained ship that has a lot of character and an incredible team of people working on there that are just going to do everything that they can to make sure that you've got an amazing vacation. So although it's not as flashy or as exciting as some of the other sailings, you really can't go wrong going to Liberty of the Seas or really anything from that class of ships that Royal's offering. On the Bermuda side, going to Horseshoe Bay is definitely something to consider doing. You're not supposed to, so I, of course, didn't do this because I'm a rule follower. But hypothetically, there are some little caves and areas that you can climb up on the rock face. And hypothetically, if somebody were to break the rules to do this, they would probably be treated to some of the most impressive views of the island to be seen. I mean, think Windows background level quality of visuals. Again, if somebody were to break the rules to do that, not that I'm advocating they do.
Sure. The biggest highlight for your family?
The biggest highlight was probably the Splashaway Bay. My kids just wanted to spend the entire day hanging on that pool deck, going down the slides, waiting in the little 2-foot deep pool there, getting hit on the head by the waterfall. That definitely made it for us because some of the other ships don't have that level of kids' water area. And when you're going to be going with kids that we don't have a pool at home, Doug, so vacation means we need to be spending time in the water. that was definitely their highlight, and something that we're going to make sure any other ships that we book have that level or something similar to that.
Now, I did this was a comp, but you did do a $2,000 upgrade, you said. So I want to ask if the value was there for the price you paid.
Doug, it was. And partially the reason why it was is we walked away winners in the casino. Nice. So usually it ends up being a losing battle. But even for the $2,000, I thought it was an incredible value of the vacation. But the fact that we won money and then we walked away with another free offer, it's keeping us entirely in the Royal ecosystem.
I can see why. Your final thoughts of Liberty of the Seas?
It's an older ship, but if you get the chance, it's well worth booking and having an amazing vacation.
Been talking with DJ about his 5-night cruise on Royal Caribbean's Liberty of the Seas down to Bermuda and back. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thanks for having me, Doug. And again, appreciate everything that you and Richard do to kind of whittle away the time between sailings, listening to the content and reviews like this.
Very sweet. Thank you so much.
Just back from a cruise? Let's talk about it. Email Doug at cruiseradio.net.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy. Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,